Hey, what's up guys? This is Rob. You are of course on Rule of Two Review, where today I'm going to discuss the Nintendo situation in Brazil. Okay, so over this past week, a lot of people are probably pretty familiar with this because I did get a lot of requests to talk about this story, being the huge Nintendo fan that I am. We probably all know that during this past week, Nintendo made an announcement that they are temporarily preventing and stopping the sale of their products, their games, and of course their hardware, which would be the Wii U and the 3DS, in Brazil. It's a pretty weird, kind of strange and unprecedented move. There's a couple of factors that seem to be going into this. I did a little bit of research trying to understand the scenario before wanting to make my quick video where I discuss my thoughts on the subject. So I'm going to kind of get into some of that right now. So at first, it seems like this is a pretty straightforward and simple kind of concept to understand as far as what's going on and why Nintendo says that they're not selling their products in Brazil for now. Although I do kind of have the feeling, especially with some of the curious wording that's been used in the articles and the press release from Nintendo, that there might be more going on behind the scenes than is kind of being alluded to. However, we don't really know any of those factors. There's not a lot of people talking about it as a rumor. It's kind of a gut feeling I have, and I don't really have any more to go on it than that. So that's not really, doesn't give me a lot to really kind of discuss with you guys. But as far as what's actually happening, like I said, on the surface, it seems pretty straightforward. What I've learned in doing the research, and a lot of the articles talking about this recent news has been discussing this as well, is that it's just, there's a lot of taxes and what are called duties that have to be paid for certain manufacturers and companies, and it seems to be, you know, the gaming industry seems to be one of the industries most specifically targeted by these extra taxes for selling your product in the country of Brazil. Now, as far as South America, most other territories seem to be okay and not really affected by this. This literally affects the one sole country of Brazil, as far as what I've been able to glean from the information that I kind of read up on before making this video. A lot of people seem to be pretty up in arms about this and not happy with it, and I do understand why. At the end of the day, I think it's an unfortunate thing. I feel bad for any gamers and Nintendo fans in Brazil because I'm sure that there's a pretty large market there, and Nintendo even mentions that there's a lot of passionate fans in that area who are right now not able to buy their product, and I do think that sucks. But the real crux of my personal feeling on it is that as a whole, overall, I don't think that this is that big of a deal. Again, I'm trying to be respectful to the people in Brazil who don't get to buy Nintendo products, and I hope that this doesn't affect the other companies like Sony and Microsoft eventually making the same decision. So I do appreciate and empathize with your guys' position, and my heart goes out to you. But as far as the bigger picture, I don't think it's that big of a market that's really affecting Nintendo. In doing my research and kind of finding out exactly how much everything kind of costs in Brazil, it's insane. I mean, the PlayStation 4 sells for a converted, translated US dollar amount of around $1,500 freaking dollars. That is insane. I think it's 5,000 Brazilian real. The real is the currency used in Brazil, and 5,000 Brazilian real is about $1,500 US. The Xbox One right now is selling for a translated amount of about $800, and the Wii U was selling for about $700, $750 until, you know, Nintendo recently pulled its products from Brazil. So I think that what's happening is it's costing a lot for these companies, and specifically for Nintendo, to, you know, import or export, however you want to look at it, to basically make their product available in this country. And when you look at how much it sells for, and the fact that I don't think there's that huge of a market or that big of a return for companies who are selling their products there, they probably decided, you know, for now, it doesn't seem to be worth it. It's not worth our time and our dollar for such a small return and such a small market. Again, a lot of this stuff is kind of me sort of projecting this sort of information into what I've read about. This exact kind of info isn't coming directly from Nintendo or any of the articles. This is kind of me saying this, so I don't want to say that Nintendo said this. But it just seems like, you know, it's as simple as the demand isn't enough to warrant how much it costs for Nintendo to make their products available in Brazil. Now, again, they do mention that there are a lot of passionate fans and gamers down there that they don't want to leave out. They also mention this being temporary, so this could be something that changes down the road. And they also mention the fact that, you know, I guess I should say that I mentioned this. I feel like there's more going on behind the scenes, though, than just the supply and demand. So while I think that's a huge part of it, there may be more going on behind the scenes that we're not familiar with. And like I said earlier in the beginning of this video, I don't really have any sort of idea of what that could be. It just has that eerie sort of feeling like that's kind of the secretive thing that's actually going on. Whether or not we ever find out what that is, we'll never know. Whether or not Nintendo ever starts making their products available in Brazil again, we'll never know. What we do know is that they have confirmed that all the other countries in South America and the surrounding countries of Brazil, the Nintendo and Sony and Microsoft, all their products are still available like they always have been. I'm willing to bet that it's, hopefully not that difficult for anyone who lives in Brazil to be able to import from any of the other South American countries and get a Wii U or a 3DS or what have you in that country. Hopefully that's the case, and hopefully it's kind of a good compromise overall. I definitely will say, though, what I want to reiterate is that I really just don't think it's that big of a deal. I'm sure that Nintendo aren't doing this to be a bunch of dicks. They're just not that kind of company. I don't really think any company would do that. I'm sure that there's a lot of reasons, money being a huge factor as to why they feel they need to do this, but I don't think it's going to hold Nintendo back. I don't think it's going to hurt their profits or their bottom dollar. And I don't know. Like I said, I think it's going to end up being hopefully temporary. They mentioned it might be temporary, and maybe something changes in the next couple years or even sooner than that, so we can get their products available to all the gamers down in Brazil. Again, my heart goes out to you guys. That's kind of where I'm going to wrap up this pretty quick, short video and update on this topic. I really feel bad for you guys. I hope that this is temporary. I hope that there's a really good reason that eventually we do find out, and with any luck, Nintendo starts selling their products down there in Brazil for you guys again. So those are all my thoughts on the subject. Like I said, hopefully everything changes pretty soon. What do you guys think? I'm sure that there's a lot of feelings and thoughts and opinions on this topic, especially from my community, because I know that a lot of the people who follow Rule of Two Review are huge Nintendo fans, as I am as well. So, whatever your thoughts are, definitely share them below. A lot of people have been talking about it the past couple of days. That's pretty much it. Of course, feel free to subscribe to Rule of Two Review if you just stumbled upon the channel, and share your comments and your thoughts about the topic below. Thanks for tuning in. I'll catch you next time on another video for Rule of Two Review.